Well, hello, everyone. As you can see, we are in a very, as Clay just said it, in a very somber mood. It is Wednesday, um, 4:54 p.m., and we've been watching the news. Clay was actually the first one to let me know what had happened. Charlie Kirk was shot at a college campus event, Utah Valley, correct?
Yeah, Utah Valley University.
Thank you. And he has passed away. And I'm trying to keep it together. I did not think I would be a person to cry over someone I do not know. But Charlie Kirk was a very, very special human being. And more importantly, to what he represented to conservatives and to civil, intelligent discourse. He was a husband and a father to tiny children. This is his beautiful family. And now they are looking at life without him, all because a deranged lunatic thought that would be a good idea to do that. I'm going to implore you guys, if you listen, you do what you want to do. I'm going to recommend that you do not watch the video, which is, there's multiple ones now. I was not prepared for that. It'll stay with you. Let's just leave it at that. It'll stay with you. It is very graphic, and like I told Clay, watching that, I could not imagine, short of a miracle, if he could survive that. And I kept hoping, and I'm sure, like you, Clay, kept hitting that refresh button every 2 seconds and hoping for a miracle. And, the internet, as we usually like to joke, and no joke this time, the internet internets and does what it does. And there were just, constant conflicting reports. And we actually are recording later than we actually normally do on a Wednesday because we wanted to wait for facts. Yeah, I don't know about, you, Clay. It's like one of those times where I just feel like hanging it all up and just being done with all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I know that's not the answer, but
Yeah, this is a tough one. Like Elsa said, it came across my news feed. I alerted her because I knew we had, the recording coming up. I knew that would impact on what we were going to talk about. And listen, folks, you're not going to get a full hour tonight.
Don't feel like
it. Don't feel like it, but it's not something to be ignored. But we're not going to go through and do a full up show. But we are going to talk about this incident as well as the attack on the Charlotte Metro. But Charlie Kirk, when it happened, I let Elsa know, and we went through what we normally go through, which is wait. That's why I asked, or I recommended to Elsa that we push our recording 30 minutes, especially as the film footage that Elsa mentioned became more public. And if you see that, and if you know anything, and unfortunately, I probably know too much, when you see that, I told Elsa if that film footage was real, because nowadays we don't know if it's AI or if it's real, right. But if that was real film footage, we would know within 30 minutes if he was going to survive or not. And I think our right at our normal recording time was when the first reports came through that he had passed. And understand that the man who was arrested initially has been released. They have determined that he was not the shooter, which, the goal is to find out who the shooter is.
Right.
The only things that we know, folks, is that this was, I think, the first stop on a new tour for him, or it was very early in a new tour for him. I think it was the America Back on Track tour is what he was calling it. Mm-hmm. We do know that he was being asked, he was on his second question. And if you've all seen Charlie Kirk, it was his normal setup. It was the pop-up, the white pop-up, him behind a table, kids all over the place. And he was on his second question And the question, my understanding from some of the reporting was it was on the subject was it had to do with transgender people.
Right.
And that's when Charlie Kirk was shot. Again, if you haven't seen the footage, you guys are going to be watching this, 24 hours later. But if you haven't seen the footage, don't. If you have, I hope that somehow you can erase that out of your brain. And that the striking part of all this, one, is that we still don't know who did it at this juncture. And two, that this is where we are now. Two assassination attempts on President Trump, with the trial of the second one beginning as, yesterday. And then, now we've got Charlie Kirk. And so the solution for certain people when they disagree politically with your views is to kill you. And this is, folks, this is not where any of us need to be or should be. And this is, I got to be honest, the patience that half of this country shows when incidents like this happen is waning.
Yeah.
And that's a very frightening prospect. There's been a lot of restraint, a lot of patience, a lot of trying to understand happening on the conservative side of the aisle. And my fear is that patience is, if it's not gone already, it's really, really close. And that's when things, will get bad. This should not be politicized. Someone will turn this into an argument about gun control. Someone will turn this into an argument. You'll see people, I'm sure they're already out there on the internet saying, had it coming, what did you expect? Those types of comments, very much in the same way that they responded to President Trump being shot. Same reaction. There was a reaction, just unbelievable, from MSNBC that tried to downplay this, saying, oh, it could have been somebody shooting off their gun in celebration. We don't know what happened. We know what happened. America knows.
We know exactly what happened.
Everybody knows what happened. Stop being an
Everybody
asshole.
knows.
Like, I'm starting to get upset, but this is like, that's what this is. We have downplayed these events so many times, and it emboldens people to execute them. And it's shameful. And the media is complicit. MSNBC, folks, we're going to talk today about the FCC going after mainstream media for exactly things like this and taking away their license.
Yes.
And I didn't know really how I felt about that. But when you have incidences like that, and that's the reporting, the offhand comments that you make, your license should be pulled. That's despicable.
Absolutely.
It's unbelievable to me.
Exactly like you said, in the aftermath of this, within minutes, they're essentially blaming Charlie Kirk, calling him a right-wing extremist and inciting, blaming him. And if you've ever watched Charlie Kirk, and clearly they have not, because there's no possible way anyone could say such a thing if you've actually watched him. He promoted discourse, conversation, intellectual communication between people instead of this kind of nonsense. And we have surpassed the point where you can have these kind of conversations with these people, because this is where we're at. And I have said this for years now, and I will shout it from the rooftops. I blame the media. I blame the mainstream media all day long. And I agree with you, Clay, the FCC conversation there, I kind of have those same mixed feelings, because when you talk about the government getting involved in certain aspects, especially when it comes to free speech, gets a little scary, gets a little cringy. But this is, I don't know what else to do at this point. They won't self-regulate. They won't tone down the rhetoric. They won't be human beings. This is evil, pure evil. And they know. How many more incidents can you see? Talk about Irina, this poor, beautiful 23-year-old Ukrainian girl getting onto this train. And, and I'm sure you've all seen that video as well, many times over now. It is no less devastating, infuriating, and horrifying as many times as you watch it. And again, it's another video. I pray for your heart that you have not watched the unedited version of it. I unfortunately, again, have, I did this stupid thing. Apparently, I don't remember doing it, but enabling autoplay for videos on social media. And I actually put out a post that I recommended that people turn that off. If you can figure out how to turn it off, because you're going to see things that you may not be prepared to see, or heaven help if your children are sitting there with you and they see this. And yeah, so if you can do that, you probably should do that. If you think you can stomach it, I mean, again, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm trying to protect your heart and your mind. I had no intentions of watching that unedited video. And unfortunately I did. I didn't know that was going to keep going, and it did. And it is, everything about it is horrific. From the act to that poor, beautiful girl's shocked face, which they show, somebody screen grabbed it and, plastered it all across social media. And then, of course, you have the apathy of the bystanders that were, on this train. And I will give the credit enough to say that in the initial first moments, I don't think anybody understood what happened. I honestly don't think that anybody knew. It was so fast and so shocking. I don't think any of them knew what happened. But then you have the aftermath of this poor girl. We are in a state in our society, as you were saying, Clay, that this is a big turning point right now, and I think this has unleashed something in conservative America that the left is not ready for. You are not ready for what will come now from this. And, if Charlie Kirk is the catalyst, if Irina is the catalyst, I don't think it's any one thing. It's just maybe, like you said, the match, just lighting this fire that they're not going to be able to put out. And, and I will never be the one to advocate and promote violence for violence. But I do know that this is one shove too far. It's too far. When you cannot go anywhere as a white, well, male or female, if you can't be white in America right now without being in fear for your life, and yeah, that's a big fat no. I tell you, I carry. I have for a long time. I will be changing the way that I carry. And I can't believe this is a conversation in real life right now that, I'm sitting here telling people to have as much situational awareness as you possibly can have. And, but you absolutely must. And I highly recommend that you protect yourself in any way that you can, because this is, in some ways, this is war that's being declared. And I don't really want to feed into it. And I don't want to be the one to say, let's go to war here with the other half of our country. But major things have to happen right now. And I don't know what they are.
Yeah, the reaction from the politicians in the aftermath of this is too little too late. I've seen Gavin Newsom. I've seen Kamala Harris. I've seen members of Congress, decrying this. Political violence has no place in our civilized society. Mm-hmm. Well, they didn't do anything to stop this when it started a few years ago in the riots in the aftermath of George Floyd. In fact, they encouraged it. People like Maxine Waters encourage violence. And you can't turn around now and say, no, thank you. Or, we don't support this. It's too late for that. George Soros should be in jail right now. Yes. Everybody knows it. There's no question about it. Right. He's been feeding this financially. He's been feeding political violence across the United States for years. Mm-hmm. And everyone knows it. The riots in the cities, as we know, stacked piles of bricks delivered, right? Shields delivered, right? All of these things, these weren't paid for by, the 32-year-old living in his mom's basement with no job, who's a member of Antifa. There's money behind this, and and you can track all of that, and it all leads to the same people, the same person. But it's too little, too late for that. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear from Kamala Harris at all. No. But I don't want to hear from Gavin Newsom. I don't want to hear from anybody in Congress on either side of the aisle decrying political violence when they've done nothing to prevent this. They've done nothing to stop this. This has been building for years now, and Congress, our lawmakers, our elected officials from both parties have sat on their thumbs when it comes to political violence. In fact, most cases, they've incited it. They've encouraged it, or at least they've been complicit in looking the other direction.
Right.
So the rest of us are tired of it. Okay. They should be ashamed collectively as a whole, as our governing body, for their lack of effort in resolving any of this. It's shameful. It is shameful from the national level down to the local level, because that includes governors, it includes mayors and major metropolitan areas. They are complicit in this because they have either done nothing or they have encouraged this type of behavior. So I'm tired of it. A lot of America is, and I'm not trying to incite violence, but the cat's out of the bag, folks. Somebody's got to put a hard stop on this right now, or the things that Elsa is talking about are going to come to fruition. And nobody wants that. Right. Nobody does. When you have the media reporting out loud, when you have, city representatives, I've heard say, the gangs are telling the military not to come to Chicago or it's going to be a fight. That is unacceptable. That the fact that is being said about the city of Chicago, and nothing is being done by the city of Chicago to stop this, except to block the federal troops from coming in, allowing the gangs to do what they please instead of facilitating the dismantling of the gangs. Right? The federal government now is going after the cartels. Good. Right? We're okay with that.
Yes.
But what we're not doing is preventing, Jasmine Crockett, who came out and said the other day, the police aren't there to prevent crimes. They're there to solve crimes. No.
She's an absolute moron.
She's the dumbest person in office, period.
Yeah.
But crime prevention prevents Irina from being murdered on a train, right? It stops that. When you lambast people like Daniel Penny for protecting people, then you get 5 people sitting on a train doing nothing.
Right.
Not literally nothing.
Right.
Because we've bred a society that is, I'm not going to get involved.
Yeah.
It's not my problem.
Yeah.
I'm staying away from that. People are at, risk averse for their own safety. They're not willing to step in and protect another human being. And it's shameful because it's all led by our political leadership of both parties at every single level.
Yes.
Yeah. There are some exceptions out there. Don't get me wrong. There's some great state level leadership. There's some great federal level leadership. But decades upon decades upon decades of both parties sitting there and doing nothing and letting it trickle down this trail to now we've got a full bonfire. All we need is the match. And I hope that this Charlie Kirk incident is not the match, but it very well may be.
Yeah, I suspect the murder of Irina Zarutska was probably the drawing of the match out of the matchbook. And now this with Charlie was the lighting of it. And now it's a question of, is that match going to get blown out or is it going to get flicked and ignited? I don't know, and of course these aren't just 2 isolated incidents. This is, obviously, years, but more specifically over the past several months, within the past year. It has been high profile, horrific, shocking incident after incident. The first one that's coming to mind, well, of course, Daniel Penny. Then you have Austin Metcalf, who they still refuse to release any kind of video. And again, it's not that I want to see it. It's the fact that they're hiding it. And again, why? Because it's black on white crime, and they want to diffuse that and pretend like it's something else. And of course, we have this, and now we have Charlie. And there was a professor, female college
Yep.
professor, who was just murdered in a park.
Retired. Yeah.
Yes, retired. Thank you. Murdered in a park. There, we're talking about horrific, violent crime. And then that's not, and those are just the isolated high profile ones. Then you have all of the citywide crime, rampant crime. And a big part of that, again, of course, number one in my mind, or at least tied with them. So number one, we have the mainstream media, and number two, which is probably side by side with them, is these liberal judges who, this piece of garbage that killed Irina. And yes, I keep saying her name, and I'm not going to say the murderer's name because he's a piece of shit and he doesn't even deserve to be named. I don't care about his mental health, by the way. I don't care. He because he's still alive. He is a 14-time convicted felon. He has been let out 14 times. He clearly, stating the obvious, obviously he has mental health issues, which, the system just ignored and said, whatever, I'm sure it'll be fine. And here we are. And I believe Pam Bondi, they're going for federal death penalty. They're going for the death penalty. So good. I just, this is what the left has done. This has made people like me and like you and so many other conservatives who, really do like to go the least combative route. Like, let's talk about this. Let's work it out together. Let's figure it out. You have taken us and you have made us feel so uncaring about these people that you think are the victims instead of the actual victims. So now we've hit that point. And like I said early on, Charlie Kirk, man, he will be the martyr for this, because he is the one you're going to be looking to. The conservative crowd is going to be looking to as, this young man, 31 years old, beautiful young family, Christian, just a good man, like a
self-educated,
good man.
did not have an advanced degree of any kind.
Right.
He's a Chicago area kid, taught himself, studied the Bible, but studied our history, studied our politics, very, very well informed. Was brilliant. I would bet money that he had an eidetic memory. I'm fairly confident with his ability to recall such deep information, specific facts, and he was very gifted. But he was also, very kind in that he would have a grown-up conversation without getting animated. Right. He invited all of these people. He knew he was at risk. He had a security team. He knew there was a risk every time he went on these things.
He did.
And yet he did it because he loved this country and he wanted to see this country get better, and he wanted to have open discourse, which we all should. But when you've got people who are incapable of tolerating, listening to, participating in open discourse, and can't agree to disagree, and their only solution is violence, then you have days like today. And this is unfortunately where we are right now. And it's shameful and it's scary, truthfully.
Yeah. And let me tell you, to anyone on the left, using and I've seen it already a few times, actually before Charlie Kirk was murdered. The whole, the right is going to use this, meaning the case of Irina Zarutska. They're going to use this as a weapon or as a tool to enact their this and that. And they're saying the same thing about Charlie Kirk's passing, that it's going to be used as a blah, blah. Let's pause for a minute and talk about all of the things that you scumbag pieces of garbage have done in the name of vigilantism or justice, social justice and all of those things. You burned down cities. You put addicts, pieces of garbage felons up on pedestals and made gold statues of them, and did all of these things for criminals, for horrible human beings, and you ignored people like Irina and barely even commented on her, only to, I'm even going to put them up now, and I have them, and I just simply don't even feel like it. I have a whole bunch of snippets of these post headlines from the mainstream media, from Axios, which is a joke in itself, CNN and all of them, and just, framing this brutal murder in such absurd terms. And it's, this is their tactic that they do over and over again. They downplay the atrocity, and they either victim blame or they completely disregard the victim and talk about how society this and that. So everybody is just so sick and tired of them. And I am ready and fully encouraging strong, swift action from our government on this, on the media, especially them. I want these scumbags shut down, and I don't want free speech shut down. I want these media I don't care. You're going to pop up somewhere else anyhow, but there needs to be accountability for the lies that they tell, the violence that they incite, the mental illness that they encourage, with their rhetoric and their lies, the freaking lies that they tell, and villainizing people who are truly good humans like Charlie Kirk. And it is that rhetoric, it is that nonstop barrage of BS that is the dog whistle for these fringe lunatics to act. And it's enough is enough. I mean, enough is enough. We're done.
Yeah, folks, this is I think on behalf of both of us, I think we're calling it. I think 30 minutes is plenty to talk about this. You guys, we will all know more when this airs. I know that the Charlie Kirk shooter is still on the loose. I know that you're gonna see and hear a lot of things in the next 24 hours. You're gonna see conspiracy theories from both sides. You're gonna see evidence, self-proclaimed. You're gonna see internet detectiving going on. You're gonna see a lot of things come up.
Conspiracy theories. You'll see the whole thing.
You're going to say this, you're going to see that this is conservatives, sacrifice Charlie for their gain. You're going to see that, liberals, blah, blah. It's going to come from both sides. It's going to come from everywhere. You're going to see every theory in the world. And I would tell all of you to just right now, I think what we all need to do is breathe. Because we are standing there with a lit matchstick, and that's where we're at right now. So don't take the bait is all I'm telling you. That's my advice to everyone is don't take the bait. Love on your family. Be happy that you have them, and band together and let's pray for brighter days coming in the future. But something's got to change, and I'm not even gonna sign off. I'm just not even gonna do it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Clay. It's funny. I've been multiple times over the past few days, I keep seeing a couple Bible verses. And for my Christian family out there, you know exactly how this happens, that, you know, for some reason you don't know what it is. You keep seeing the same ones over and over again, and you kind of just store it away in your mind. And the two that have been on repeat for me lately have been guard your heart and minds in Christ Jesus, and the other is to capture every thought and in Christ. And I think I needed to store those words away for myself as I emotionally navigate all of this. I am extremely upset. We are all extremely upset. So I agree with Clay. This is a good time to call it for the day, because I'm getting close to saying a lot of things that I will probably regret saying. So I echo Clay's sentiment there. Hold your family close, and try and keep calm. Keep prayerful if you are the praying kind, and just be good to each other. All right. And we'll talk again next week. And I pray that we will have better things to say to you next week. There is so much good in the world. There really is. It doesn't feel like it in this moment when you hear this barrage of all of the ugliness and the unfairness of it all. But there is so much good out in the world. And if you know this saying, if you can't find the good, be the good in the world. And I think that's all we got. So we'll see you guys next week.